Hi, everybody. Welcome to an episode of the Living in Fullness podcast. I'm excited. I've taken you guys on a break. I haven't been shooting. I haven't been posting anything, but I'm excited to give you like this bonus episode. And I've got a bonus guest who's no longer a guest, a very regular of this podcast. But before I get in, I want to remind you to subscribe, to like, to share, to comment. And if you haven't been to our website, please do go to www.livinginfullnesshub.com. So today we've got an exciting topic, a topic that is becoming part of a lot of, I want to say country's cultural thing. People are now starting to do it. People have started talking about it. I don't want to say have started talking about it, but people have become accustomed to it, right? And I'm excited about us speaking about cohabiting today. So it's a matter of, does living together before marriage actually help, before you get into marriage? Or does it actually mess up your relationship in the long term? But before we get into it, I'm going to introduce my husband to you, the tall, dark, and handsome Mr. Muteto. Baby, do you want to introduce yourself?
No, I just want to say, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure always to come feature on the Living In Fullness platform. And again, it's just to see it grow over the years and just getting the feedback from people and how it's impacting people's lives is quite awesome. And just thank you to everybody that tunes in and is a regular watching the podcast every week or every time we post something out there. And we really appreciate the support. And just looking forward to today's episode. Really excited to chat about this.
Aww. And that's on why he's my husband. Okay. Do you have anything else to say, baby, before we get into icebreakers?
Yeah, I think just on the topic of cohabiting, it's something that is quite interesting. So just before we got married, I remember a few guys asking me and saying, "Oh, you're going to get married without living with your wife? Like, how would you do that to yourself?"
Yeah.
It seemed quite normal that people would want to test the relationship and live together before they get married. So it made me wonder at the time, am I missing something here? But now that I've been married almost 6 years, I think I can have something to say about it now. Seeing it from the marriage perspective. So really excited to delve into this topic today, and just try to help somebody out there. So,
and I think we want to point out the fact that it's our views. Okay, we're not experts. So we're giving our views based on experience. And as being firstborns, I think we always have something to say. Okay, so we're really excited about it. We've done a little bit of research in terms of what the stats really are, and we'll get into that later on. But we want to just start with some icebreakers. So if you really want to hear about this, or somebody who's cohabiting, or you're considering it, or you are considering engagement, marriage, staying together before that, stay up until the end of the episode. You're really going to love this one. But we're going to get into our icebreakers.
Okay. All right.
Ready?
So what do you have for us today? I'm always nervous when it comes to icebreakers.
You cannot be nervous because I keep you on your toes. So you're ready for that all the time. The first one. Okay. 3 words that describe me in this season. And then I'd have to answer the same for you. Okay.
So in this season, I would say tenacious. Right. And then
my husband went to school, guys. Yeah.
And then the other one would be, I would say you are faithful.
Okay.
Right? You're really stepping in faith. It's a lot of things you're stepping into, like you really trust in God and a lot of things, and you're jumping into things, trusting God that, He's going to come through. So definitely faithful. And the last one, which is always there in every season of life, is grace. There's so much grace in your life.
Aww.
Anything you do, be it being my wife, which requires grace. And in your career and your podcast, there's just so much grace in everything that you do. And you're a graceful person. You extend grace to a lot of people. So
thanks, Papa. Yeah. I think I'd say you're a very resilient person. Like you're one person who doesn't give up. I see sometimes like how much you work hard on specific things, and it's not the easiest journey. and you always put in hard work all the time. Like every single time you put in the same amount of work. And I think that's not many people have that. And I think it even ties to the topic that we're speaking about today, that, you cannot be in a marriage if you're not someone who takes on commitment, who takes on responsibility. And I think with resilience comes with a lot of that. You know, so I think you hold on to a lot of things very well because you're a very resilient person. And I also think, you are very patient.
Am I?
You're very patient. You're one patient person. I mean, you're very patient with me. You're patient because again, like you're saying, there's a lot of things I do. There's a lot of things I tap into. And sometimes in all those seasons, I don't know how to behave or how to be a wife or how to be myself because I'm trying to cope with a lot of things, right? And one thing I believe, if you don't know me, is I believe in, really living fully means looking at all areas of myself holistically and trying to grow in all those areas of myself. I look at the gifts that God has given me and I try to make sure that I utilize them, you know, and of course, timing is very important. Am I doing it at the right time? But when God tells me to go, I go. Yeah. Whether I know how, I still have to go. Yeah. And you have been the person who carries me through this. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes I'm crying. Sometimes I'm like, okay, tired. I'm exhausted, but you're very patient with me and you're patient with my learning process. And that's the second word. And, the third word, I'd say you definitely are someone who loves. The way you love is very different, in the sense that I think when we think of love, we think of, you know, every time it's butterflies, you know, but your kind of love for me teaches me how to be the best version of myself. So I think those are the three words that I'd use to describe you. Oh. Okay. I mean, we've given you guys an episode already. The second question, you're welcome, baby. The second question, what's my love language?
Okay, so the one love language that in any season that you love is definitely words of affirmation, right? Be it for me, be it at work, you know, like it's just saying good job, done well.
Yeah,
that's the baseline thing. Words of affirmation, as simple as that, but it can be as, oh, your outfit looks great today.
Yeah.
Oh, today you slay, and you just, oh girl, you are on another level. So definitely words of affirmation that you really love. You love compliments.
I do.
Like, you know, she'd come home and be like, oh, someone told me I'm smelling so nice by the mall today. I know.
And that's every time.
And she's just like, yo, can see the butterflies though. She gets so happy.
No, let me explain myself, Nick. I can explain myself, guys. I don't know what it looks like to not get a compliment. Right? If I'll be honest, like I don't need affirmation to be validated, but I need affirmation, I think, just more as a reminder of the fact that I'm existing and I'm still here, you know? And sometimes when people affirm me, it just feels good. And that's because ever since I was young, I think my mom would tell you this, I was that child that if I go to a mall and I don't get a compliment, I'm like, what's going on today? Like, what's happening? You know, so I think it just became a thing for me that if you're my husband, it's even worse. The levels are higher because listen, I'm going to go out there, and when I go out there, I'm going to get a compliment. Yours is the most important. Okay. Anyway.
100%. And then I guess the second one, well, it alternates depending on what you need. So depending on what you need at that time, but it could be quality time or physical touching that you like, hugs and just my presence in anything.
Yeah.
Just being there. So it could be erroneous between those two. And sometimes you need both of them together. So, yeah.
Perfect. I agree. I can never deny. No worries. Okay. So I think for you, definitely words of affirmation as well. Mm-hmm. I'd say words of affirmation is definitely your love language because, and I want to say it's for a lot of men because it strokes your ego. It reminds you that you're actually doing well. Because I think as a man, you're, you knowing that you're living up to what God said you should be, or up to what God said you should do. Me as your wife reminding you that you actually are makes you feel better.
Not true.
Makes you feel good, because I think you're always setting these high standards for yourself. And sometimes the affirmation brings you down a little bit to just not working and remind you that, you know, sometimes you just need to rest because you're doing just fine. So I think affirmation is definitely your top one.
100%. I think with a lot of men in general, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in terms of, have I achieved this goal, where my peers are at? And you have this voice inside you that's telling you you're not achieving, or you're not where you're meant to be. And just hearing that sweet voice of yours telling me, oh, you're actually doing great, makes me just feel like, okay, you know what? I'm on track.
Great.
I'm on track. I am doing great. So, yeah.
Love it, baby. And your second one would be, I want to say physical touch, but I think it's actually more acts of service. I think you're in this, guys, I don't know, someone needs to tell me this, but I think love languages change in different seasons, to be honest.
100%.
I think my love languages have not always been the same. There are some that are consistent. I think words of affirmation has kind of been consistent, but also there are times where I really feel like, girl, you are doing the most and I don't need your affirmations. But I think, for you, acts of service.
Like what types of acts of service?
I think you love it when I cook for you.
Oh no, I love your food. Oh, like definitely.
That when I don't,
I live with a chef. Like I live with a chef. We can literally go to a restaurant. She'll taste the food and be like, "I can make this," and she won't even need the recipe book, and she'll make it even better and even add like a twist to it, even make it the way I would love it. So now, whenever you go all out, I'm definitely there. So, you know.
Yes, baby. I love it. But you see, we could have another episode for you guys on love languages, because clearly we have a lot to say about that. But we want to get right into the topic, right? We want to get right into today's discussion. Okay. First of all, we want to define what marriage is. I think I really want to take somebody through what my understanding or our understanding of marriage is, because again, there's, I think, a lot of different definitions out there. But when I think marriage, I think covenant. I think purpose, partnership. I think Ephesians 5 clearly stipulates what the roles and responsibilities are, but when I think marriage, I think commitment, right? And to some extent, it's why we're diving into this whole cohabiting topic. Because is it cohabiting or cohabitating?
Cohabiting. Oh, yeah.
It is
but
cohabitating.
You know what we're saying. You go that thing.
It's cohabitating. It is cohabitating, because I think it's coming from habitate. Yeah. I think it is cohabitating. So, we want to speak about this because with marriage for me comes that, safety, security, just someone I can call my person, you know, someone I don't need to think today if they're going to wake up gone tomorrow, or if they're going to be gone a year after. Are they going to leave me? Are they going to leave the kids? What's going to happen to all the expenses that we were sharing? I think marriage for me just brings a certain sense of commitment that just speaks differently to what any other sort of relationship is. I believe it's if it's not, I mean, after a relationship with God, it's the next important relationship that we can have.
100%. And I just think a key piece of marriage, right, is that public declaration to say that this is my person. Out of everyone in the world, this is the person I want to be with.
I chose you.
And I've chose you. And I'm telling everyone that, you know, this is my ride or die until the day I die. I think that's a key piece, right? So, fine. There is the church where most people will have a church wedding and publicly declare that. But let's even wind it back in the day in the villages or rural areas before, I guess, colonialism came and Christianity came. Marriage was still there. This is just in the African context, right? there would still be that declaration where one family goes to the next family and says, listen, our son has seen a flower and we want to take your daughter, or even if it's an arranged marriage, but there'll be that public declaration that these two are husband and wife, right? Even when you go back to biblical times, if you go back to like the Old Testament, you know, there still needed to be that declaration to say that, you know, a man is coming to take this daughter from this household and their husband and wife. So I think that's definitely a key thing, right? And you're making that commitment, a lifelong commitment to be together, as you did say. So I do agree with you. I think that's definitely the key ingredients. So a lifelong commitment, and you are declaring to everyone is very clear of what you are, what your relationship is. You guys are husband and wife. There isn't like are they, aren't they? You know, so definitely 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you, baby. And what is cohabiting then?
Ooh, what is cohabiting?
Define it for us, sir.
Okay, so I think cohabit is when two people in a romantic relationship, right, decide to live together, right, for an extended period of time. So it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 years, it could be 20 years, but you are still in a romantic relationship and you're not married, or you have not declared that you're married, but you're still in a romantic relationship. So there's nothing legally binding you guys together. Culturally, there's nothing binding you guys together. There's no, if you wanted to just, you know, go separate ways tomorrow, it's just saying, hey, it's not me, it's you. This relationship ain't working, I'm out.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't have any strings really just holding you together, or any glue that's holding you together. It's just you're just dating, but living together pretty much.
So what is it? Is it like I don't want to say there's commitment in it. What is the difference between dating and cohabiting? Like, is it that the fact that now we're just living together, but still dating? Yeah.
So I would say you're still dating, but you've just taken that the next step and you want to live together. So,
yeah.
So I guess to most people, they might see it as a serious commitment and say you're taking the next step in your relationship. So you move from, okay, I see you once a week, twice a week, or we meet every now and again. I come to your place, come to my place. We're like, actually, let's move in together. So it could be like we said, it could be for a short period of time. One person can literally leave their flat or their house, and then you have a shared space. Or you could still have separate shared spaces, but you actually live in together.
But you see, for me, that already raises the question of, why then aren't we just getting married? So I'm thinking of you and I, right?
Yeah.
You tell me that, okay, since you're already staying here in Joburg, and you know you're staying in your own flat, I'm staying in my own flat to reduce on our expenses, let's stay together, right?
Yep.
And then if it was me, my next question is, then why aren't you just marrying me? Because already the fact that you're not marrying me and we would rather choose to cohabit is already showing me some sort of hesitancy from your end. Because I think, from my understanding, marriage is a decision of two people, right?
Yeah.
But the man still takes that step to propose. So if you're still struggling to take that step, for me, it's showing me that you are already hesitating. And that's already a red flag on its own for me.
So I guess the reason why you're not getting married initially, maybe that we can spend a lot of time on that. Maybe let's start with, why do people actually do it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Let's get into that.
So I think like you did say, you touched one thing. Financially, it's convenient. And I mean, it makes sense. Like, look, guys, like, accommodation is expensive, especially in a big city like Joburg or whichever city you're living in. So if you can split your accommodation in half and share costs like buying groceries, and the person you're dating with, you get along with them anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So it's easiest roommate you can easily find. So we get it. Makes sense.
Easiest roommate.
Right. I mean, you gotta like your roommate. You gotta like your roommate.
True.
You know, like if you don't, I mean, I had a roommate, we liked each other at least. Or at least I hope to believe that.
I mean, you do. He was the best man on your wedding, so you better did.
Right. So I understand. You gotta like the person you live with, right? So if you're dating someone, and also that mean like the admin or like dating, you gotta now drive.
Yeah.
Especially, I gotta drive after work, especially as working adults. After work, I gotta come to your place. We gotta meet somewhere, have dinner. Sometimes it could be expensive. Why don't we just, cut the fuel costs? I see you all the time. Convenient, we're there. It's easy. It's easy. It's lazy. Let's just put it.
I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy. And I'm not even going to get into that now, but I honestly think it's lazy. And definitely some people also do it, I think, out of society pressure, because there's this pressure for people to get married or be in a relationship or be in a committed relationship. Yeah. And it's a very, what's the word I can use? Okay, if you're Zambian, you're going to understand. I think it's a very gonga way. Like, how do you define gonga? It's a very gonga way of saying we're committed to each other.
So she's basically saying it's a backward way. Like it's a cheap way.
Yeah, it's a cheap way of saying you're committed to each other, right? Yeah. It has no value in it, in terms of the commitment itself. It has no value. It has no substance. And I think it speaks into a lot of things. And I think society's pressures where they're saying people need to get married, people need to be in a relationship, sometimes makes people idolize the idea of commitment. It makes people idolize the idea of marriage, and like idolatry is not even in marriage, you can idolize your partner, right? So I think because people are idolizing the idea of commitment, sometimes they would rather stay in, no matter how a relationship is toxic, they would rather stay in it because it's seeming like a commitment. Yeah. And it's also showing people that we've moved to the next level, right? Yeah. Because we're no longer just dating. We're now so committed to each other that we've moved to the next level. And I think that's really what it is. Yeah, it's the pressure, the society pressure as well.
So now another reason, which will probably answer your question that I've thought about, which I've seen on TV shows, is maybe the man, right? Even could be the lady, isn't ready to get married. And maybe one person is asking, okay, why aren't we taking the next step? But to sort of dodge that question is to say, okay, fine, let's actually live together. That's me actually demonstrating I'm committed to you. But you're running away from the marriage thing, right?
Yeah.
But saying, look, like the fact that I'm bringing you to my space shows I'm serious about you. So we don't need to end the relationship. But maybe you're afraid to get married, or you don't want your relationship to end because your partner doesn't feel that the relationship is going somewhere. But by them moving in with you, or you giving them a key, or giving them a wardrobe, or just that access to your personal space is you saying, listen, I'm showing you I'm committed, right? So that partly answers the first question you asked me. And then another one I would say is actually the fear of getting married, okay? Which would be, maybe you've been hurt in the past, and now you want to like really, really check that this person is foolproof before you marry them. So the example I gave earlier when we just started this discussion, I mean, this one guy at work just said, man, you've never lived with your fiance and you're getting married. It's like, before I got married, my wife and I, we lived together for 6 years. After the 6 years, I was just like pretty sure, definitely, like she's the one, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm proposing, and we're getting married because, I tested it. I've tested the waters and I know I can live with her and I know this thing can work. Yeah. So definitely. So, and you just jumping in without living with her? Dude, are you serious? So that's another thing. And that's maybe because people are afraid. It could be maybe they saw their parents divorce. It could be maybe they've been hurt in past relationships and they just want to be really, really sure about, the person they're with.
Yeah. So basically people want it in a way that it's an easier way to be able to leave if things go wrong. Right. Yeah. But that's the thing. That's where already for me, it's lacking commitment, which I think the truth of the matter is if you live with somebody, you're always going to pick up some icks you're not going to like. And the question is, are you still going to stay there? And how many of those people are you going to have to trial and error before you actually get into it? Because there's always going to be things you don't like about someone, right? But I think in terms of reasons, I get it. Maybe it's just a matter of, okay, if this person messes up, at least I know that the door is still open and I can still leave. But I also still think it's leaving room for even open relationships. I think that's where they're coming from, because I'm not married to you. There's no commitment.
100%.
And there's something about someone saying you're cheating on your wife and you're cheating on your girlfriend, or 100%. Vice versa. There's a difference in there. And I think people also just do that from if things go wrong, or if I still think I want to play around a little bit, let me keep this here. Let me keep this going.
No. And look, we understand that making that marriage decision is it's a tough choice, It's a tough choice, and you want to be really sure that you're making the right decision. But look, you just have to make the decision.
I think you have to make the decision. But I also think people like nice things. They do not want to be the ones to work on getting those nice things. Right? Because that's one thing that I'm noticing with cohabiting, and just the lack of commitment when it even comes to relationships and all. Because people want a good in a working relationship. They just don't know who has to put in the work. They want it to work, just not from them having to work hard. And that's what commitment does. Commitment makes you work hard. And people want to maintain the dynamics of dating, the dynamics of a relationship, where they think the moment they get married is going to take away the fun,
100%.
Of which they don't realize that even in marriage, you're able to continue dating. And that's where the mistake comes in, when you get married and you think, oh, well, now we have to play husband and wife, and it's got a different, there's a different way you have to become as a person for you to become a wife or a husband. So people want to take on, like they want to have big people things, but they don't want to have big people commitment. They don't want to have 100%. Big people responsibility. And I think that's one of the reasons as well.
Yeah. So it reminds me of, I remember listening to radio, right? And I think these guys had been together for 15, 16 years, right? And the wife complains and says, listen, I've been with this guy. We've got like 2 or 3 kids together, but we live together and we are not married. I really want to get married, but he just feels that if we get married, it's going to change the nature of our relationship. And the fact that we live together and we've got 3 kids, it's like we're married. So why should we make it official? He feels by making it official, it's going to ruin things. So, I mean, people just have that perception. They just think that by putting the marriage label on it, it's going to.
But it's not a perception, though.
It's going to ruin what they have, like the fun, or it's going to bring problems. So let's rather keep it this way.
But I don't even think it's a perception. I also think people, as people that are married, are not representing marriage really well.
Okay.
Right? Because for some reason, when married people meet, it's only problems they're talking about, So imagine if there's a single person they're like, I'm not ready for this. And I think it's, if we start representing marriage well, to some extent, some people will not be scared of commitment, because like you were saying, some of the people's traumas, and this is even secondary trauma. Some of the trauma is as a result of what they saw their parents going through, their sisters going through, their aunts, their uncles going through. And now they're like, I don't want to get married. Right. So I think it's a lot to do with, how are we representing marriage in a way that makes it something another person wants to get into? Because again, with this whole cohabiting thing, it's like people are making big decisions together, but they don't want to take big responsibilities together. And why is that the case? They're scared of commitment. And why is that the case?
I guess it's a very complex thing, but sure. I think one thing now I just want to maybe delve into is if you think that cohabiting will help you have a good marriage, let's give you some stats. Let's get a little bit nerdy.
Let's get into some numbers, because we're numbers people. There's a chartered
let's get a
accountant
little
and an
bit
actuary in the
nerdy
room.
here. Let's get a little bit nerdy
Just
here.
numbers.
I've got a stats degree, guys.
Give us, baby.
So look, statistically, right, people that cohabit, right, have got a 50 or 60% chance of getting divorced. So that
Break
means
it down for us.
That means that out of 10 people, right, that were cohabiting, who get married, 5 to 6 of them end up getting divorced. So that's half or more than half. So the argument to say that, look, I'm going to test the waters and make sure, doesn't seem to be holding. Statistically, right? That doesn't seem to be holding. So if you telling yourself and saying that, yeah, listen, I'm going to live with my girlfriend or live with my boyfriend for 5 years, and by then I'm pretty sure that when we get married, it's going to be foolproof, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
You're kidding yourself. And listen, look, the reality is any relationship needs work, right? And you got to work on it every day to ensure that you're better for each other, you grow together, and that your marriage is sustainable. And marriage should be fun, right? Like you were saying, a lot of married people don't represent marriage in a good way, in that they don't make it look fun and all that stuff. And maybe that's it. Maybe you're living together for 5 years, like, we got this. You get married, and then you just realize you actually got nothing. Right? Because now you have to put the work in, right?
Sure.
So, and maybe that's why these stats are there. And then another interesting stat is, right, there's a 33% higher chance of divorce, right, for those people that cohabit before marriage relative to those people that don't. So if you take a group of, if you take 100 couples, right, that did not cohabit, were just dating, the guy proposed and they got married, right? If 10 of those people divorced, right, and you've got another group of people, 100 people that were cohabiting and they get married, what this means is that 13 to 14 of the people that cohabiting that were cohabiting will get divorced. So out of 100 people that were not cohabiting and get married, and 10 people divorce, you're going to have another 3, and then if you compare another 100 people, another 3 to 4 people, right, will get divorced. If you're just going to just have absolute numbers, just compare it. So what this is saying is that, look, potentially you're better off not staying together and just getting married. It reduces your chances of divorce. So the stats just clearly demonstrate that it doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work.
And do you know what I think, right? I think the divorce element of it is high. So I think the stats of getting married are high compared to the stats of divorce. No. Is it because that was 50%, right? I would actually think a lot of people that cohabit are able to get married, right? Not compared to not cohabiting, but just in general, compared to actually the divorce rates. The divorce rates, I think, are high because the whole idea of cohabiting gives you a sense of commitment.
Yeah.
And now you think that because we have stayed together for a long time and we've been able to share responsibilities and things look like they've gone great, we are now able to get married. And I think it puts that pressure to get married. Yeah. Because the truth of the matter is, if you've been staying with someone for some time, there's almost an obligation to get married to them, because you've stayed together for a long time and you're thinking of, should I start over again and find another person? So getting married, you can. The question is, can you stay in that marriage? Yeah. And that's where the stats are saying there's a 33% higher chance of actually not staying in that marriage.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And that's because, the commitment has led you into it, but can you actually keep it?
Yeah.
And which sort of then works against the objective of cohabiting in the first place, because the reason you were cohabiting was so that you can test the waters, you can get to know each other, and you can have a great marriage.
Yeah.
So it's actually acting in the opposite of what you intended to achieve with the whole cohabiting thing. And these are actually stats that have been worked on for decades. I think you can look at it, and I think probably someone is sitting there saying, no, but I can also find people that have cohabited and they have had a great marriage. And the truth of the matter is you can find those people, but looking at the population, they're not enough to represent the population from a positive perspective.
100%. So it sounds like you do not encourage cohabiting.
No, I don't.
So why is that?
Oh my word. How much time do you have? I think for me, when I think of cohabiting, right, I want to think of, I'll give this analogy.
Yeah.
You're studying towards your BCom accounting degree. And then someone says, oh, Naki, you've got the certificate, but I need you to study for this degree. Why am I studying for a degree that I've already been awarded a certificate? It's like knowing that I've already gotten an acting gig and someone says they still want me to go and audition for it.
Yeah.
Why am I auditioning for something I know I already have been casted for? Right. So for me, it just reduces my commitment to actually my need for getting married.
Okay.
Because why should I now get married? I'm already staying with you. You're already cooking for me. You're already providing for me. You're already doing what a wife or a husband should do.
And you say, for me, whose perspective is that?
So that's for either men or women, right?
Okay.
I'm thinking more, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking more from a man's perspective, because I'm saying I'm already getting wife benefits without marrying you. So why should I go and pay lobola for you to continue acting as a wife?
Okay.
For me, that's one thing I'm thinking about, because guys, lobola is also not cheap.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, that's a topic on its own. It's not a matter of buying somebody or paying for somebody or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, even if it's not lobola we want to talk about, even if it's just a matter of actually going through signing papers, the admin of it all,
of getting married,
going through signing papers, going through the wedding, the costs, like why must I actually have to go through that if I'm already getting you as who you're going to be after this entire admin process?
Okay. And from the other perspective, women's perspective, because I think most women might get into this hoping that they get a marriage out of it. So what do you say to those women that think
he's not going to marry you? No. Okay. Let me not be mean. Okay. No. So I think it's damaging, if I must say it like that. There's a lot of emotional, and if you're sleeping together, which I think you are, there's a lot of sexual soul ties as well.
Okay.
Breaking off from that person is going to be difficult, right? There's something about you being hopeful that this person is going to marry me, and staying with them and having shared responsibilities, having shared expenses, and then suddenly you have to break up with this person. That's going to feel like a mini divorce.
100%.
Because you're already staying together, right? It's so sad that it's going to feel like a mini divorce and he never gave you commitment, right? Because you've had to go through so much, and you're cooking for this person, my sister. You're
doing the whole shebang, man.
Listen, you're cooking, you're washing clothes, you're doing everything you must do, Mogel, and you're doing all these things with your whole heart.
And you're still not recognized as his woman.
Officially. Why is he struggling to commit? Yeah. Because if he loves you so much, he's not just going to use you. I'm sorry. For me, it feels like he's using you. Because if he loves you so much, he's not going to use you. He's going to commit to you. Yeah. Because And the truth of the matter is, maybe I'm being extra, right? But it's going to hurt if that thing ends. And the truth is, sometimes you might not even come out of it because you've put in so much. You know?
What if it's the other way around? What if it's the man wants to get married, but the woman doesn't want to? What do you say to that guy?
I think she needs to, and I'm sorry, I don't even think I need to get to the guy first. I personally think she needs to understand why she's scared of commitment.
Okay.
Right. And I mean, I'm not a psychologist. Like we say it again, we're giving this from our own views, and what I'd say to my younger sisters and, our younger brothers, like for me, it's a matter of what is it that you're scared of? Yeah. What are you running away from that you're not willing to face? And you need then to go for therapy for it.
Okay.
Right? Because the thing about cohabiting is it's for how long as well.
Yeah.
Like, how long are we going to do this? And because there's no commitment, I must wake up every day thinking, is he going to leave? Is he not going to leave? Is she going to leave? Is she not going to leave? Yeah. So even for the guy, if this person is trying to commit, I mean, if you're trying to commit and this person is not ready for commitment, you're not a psychologist. It's honestly not your job to convince this person that commitment is going to be better or them being committed to you is better. I think if you're putting in your job, like your work as a man, you're showing them and you're giving them reasons to want to be with you and they still don't see the reasons, then probably ask why you shouldn't leave.
100%.
Because the question is, you've put in everything and this person still doesn't want to commit. What is the reason?
Yeah, no, true. I guess a lot of people need to do a lot of introspection and have some very difficult conversations. If you are cohabiting and this resonates with you, we'd encourage you to just have some real heart-to-heart conversations. I think from my perspective, so I do definitely agree with everything you said, and I also don't encourage cohabiting. So when most guys come to me and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking of moving with my girlfriend, I'm like, hey man, why do you want to bring marriage problems into your dating?
Hallelujah.
Right? What do I mean by that? Look, dating should be dating. It should be fun. You're meant to explore each other. You're meant to, figure out whether, this person is, someone you want to get married to. And you should look forward to seeing the person, a lot of people we do say that people should continue dating when they're married, right? But you find a lot of couples say, no, when we were dating, like there's that reminiscent of those days, right? So dating should be fun. It should be like, that's what it's meant to be. Now, when you decide to live together, right? One, it just takes away that spontaneous nature of your relationship.
The excitement, right? The looking forward to something.
So, okay, I don't know how most people's dating, situations are like, but I would imagine if you are dating, right, you're probably looking forward to spending the weekend together with your partner, the person that you're dating, even if you meet once or twice during the week, right? Like you're so excited to spend that time with them. And when you get in home, you're like, oh man, I miss you so much. Remember like when we were dating, I get home, I'm like, oh, I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. Because I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Like it was just, it's that.
That's true. And it actually allows you to enter your marriage in honeymoon phase.
Exactly.
You actually will have honeymoon because if you were staying together, it's business as usual.
It's business as usual. And trauma could now come in, right? And maybe now if you're in an abusive relationship, cohabiting, okay, I'll put this thing. If you are dating and you see red flags, I do think it's easier to exit, right? And just say, well, actually, look, I'm going to fire you. I'm going to hire someone else. I don't think this thing is working out. Right. Yeah. No, some people suggest fire and hire easily. That's a separate conversation. Right.
Those ones need to be addressed on their own.
That's a separate conversation. But it's sort of easier to do and just be like, you know what? You just meet for coffee somewhere and be like, you know what? I don't think this is working out. Let's go our separate ways. But if you're living together, sometimes it's very difficult. Like it's difficult to, it's probably going to take you longer. I think in my opinion, I don't have any stats to prove this. Something that maybe you would have, if you're dating and 2 months in, you're like, ish, okay, this aspect of this person isn't working for me right now where I'm at, right? If you're living together, the fact that you're sleeping together and all that stuff, and you're in close proximity, you sort of a little bit blind.
I agree. And I'm going to say it bluntly. Sex is going to be your blindfold. Because God created it for marriage, for it to be a blindfold, right? Because to be honest, if you're staying together and you're not married and this person has red flags, you guys having sex is just going to be your solution sometimes.
Yeah.
You're going to be mad at each other and you're just going to say, let's sex it up.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And then the argument is over and then you move on. Something that actually I think should work for marriage. Not that even in marriage, you're sweeping things under the carpet,
100%.
but it makes forgiveness in marriage easier. But you don't want it to be the case in a relationship because it's going to blind you from realities, from deep red flags that you actually needed to not go into marriage with this person. And that's why it's important then, even because even you just mentioned now with toxicity, red flags.
Yeah.
You are able to identify red flags without having to stay with somebody. Yeah. You don't need to cohabit to be able to see red flags. And you would be lying to yourself if you're dating and you say you don't see things. Most of these things, as I always say, they're red billboards, and you choose to say, you know what, I can change him.
Yeah,
I think if I do this and I do this and I do that, it's not your job to change people. Yeah. It's only God who's in the business of changing people. So you don't have to see things that you know are not going to work for you. And you're going to just say, no, I'm going to change him. I think he's just had a bad day today. How many times have those bad days come? So,
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, what were you saying, baby?
No, I think just to summarize pretty much, that's it. I think if you living together, there's a high chance you're going to stay in a relationship that's not working. And by the time you get out of it, you'll be like, I don't even know why I stayed that long. And if you're feeling like that today, it's possibly because you're living together.
Yeah.
Maybe people are telling you, why don't you just leave this person? You don't know why you're leaving. I would say to test whether that relationship is for you, move out, right? Get your own place, have clarity of mind. If you still want to see the person, fine. But that would probably answer your question, right? Because sometimes you want to leave, but you can't leave. If you get your own place, I would advise you move out, get your own place. You're going to get good clarity of mind. And you probably say, you know what, actually, this person isn't for me. And you're going to have the courage to leave. So cohabiting will just give you blurred vision. You're not going to see things for what they are.
Yeah. And also stop giving full access without full responsibility and full commitment. For me, that's very important. There's no way you can give someone full access because it's on what grounds? Who are you actually that I should give you full access to myself? Because as my husband, you do deserve to get that full access to me. You have shown me that I'm the only person you want to be with. And again, I'll say this, for me, marriage is marriage with one person. So, you have shown me that you just want to be with me. But baby, there are people that are listening and they're saying that, no, don't assume everybody who is cohabiting is going to sin. I know that I want to cohabit and, I'll still keep to the word of God. I'm not going to engage into any sexual activity with this person. What you got to say about those people?
Ooh, yo.
I mean,
good luck.
What? I actually want to read that verse there.
Good luck. But while you get in the verse, right? So one thing that comes to mind is, guys, look, just one verse that comes to for me is, listen, the devil is a roaring lion, right? He's already there hunting you and he wants to catch you and he wants to eat you, right? Now, if you're going to make it easy for him and just be there, take yourself there as the prey, what do you expect the lion to do? Literally,
it's like going into a lion's den with meat and hope that this lion will not eat this meat.
Yeah, it's that thing. Guys laugh to say that, they'll jokingly say, like, you put a chicken in front of a lion and expect it to just watch it.
Because it's not going to watch.
Exactly.
Unless it's not a lion. Yeah. Which brings me to my point. Because here's the thing. you can sit down with yourself and say, me and my partner can cohabit and still not sin.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it still raises questions to me. How are you with somebody you're not attracted to? Are you actually attracted to each other at all? Because the idea of it is temptation in itself is not a sin.
Yeah.
The sin is you acting on temptation. Yeah. Right? So you being tempted, like me looking at my husband and saying, I want to have sex with him, is not the problem. It's, am I married to him and am I doing it in the confinement of marriage?
Yeah.
Right? And that's what matters. So the issue is not you being attracted to the person. That's not a sin in its own. Now, if you are able to stay with somebody you're saying you want to get married to, and you guys are not able to, you're not even tempted.
There's something
to
wrong
have sex.
there.
There's something wrong. Your attraction levels are now a worry for me
Just
because
like,
you're going to need this in
like,
marriage.
Oh, it's got self-control. Nah, girl,
there's no self-control like that.
telling you something.
There's no self-control like that. I want to read you guys a verse actually. And it says that, I had found it just now. Yeah. So it's in Proverbs 6, verse 27 to 28. And it says, can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burnt? Can a man walk on hot coals without his feet being scorched? Right? So you can't put yourself in a compromising environment and expect to come out untouched, because who are you?
Yeah.
Because you're obviously not Jesus Christ.
That's true.
The truth of the matter is you're going to be tempted. And if you're not, then I'm going to worry a little bit from, like I said earlier. So for me, cohabiting does exactly that. It basically invites you into temptation unnecessarily. Right?
No, that's true. And maybe just to elaborate more on what I was saying earlier, and just saying lion, chicken, and all that stuff, just using plain English.
Mm-hmm.
Already when you're dating, right, you are tempted to get into sexual sin. And it's already a challenge when you're living separately and you're visiting each other, right? That's already a challenge. Now, if you get into close proximity with this person, with the person you're dating, and you're like in close proximity for an extended period of time, there's a higher chance now that you're actually going to fall into sexual sin. So that's just the reality. So if you're given the devil many more opportunities to get you, I guess that's the point I was raising.
True.
And to your point, it's you're just making it easier. Even I think the Bible also does say you should flee away from temptation, right? So you should run. Don't take yourself into a position where you're gonna be tempted. So guys, like you can't be strong. That's the thing. And if you're strong, hey,
no, I want somebody to prove us wrong. But I think just another thing that's important to note, guys, cohabiting together will likely bring unplanned pregnancies, right? Yeah. And just think about it. The fact that you're already in an uncertain environment, you also want to bring kids into that uncertain environment, an environment where these kids don't even know if they're going to wake up with their father or their mother. They don't even understand the dynamics of this relationship. And it just makes it even a bit, and now some people end up even committing specifically just for the kids, even getting themselves into a marriage specifically just for the kids.
It becomes a whole mess.
It just becomes a whole mess. So it's all those things that you need to consider. And I think in closing, I want this baby to touch on, so what are we saying these people should do? If I have already been committed to I'm already in this cohabiting relationship, must I now come out? Must I stay? What am I actually supposed to do? Does it mean that if I cohabited before and now I'm married, my marriage is going to end? What are we actually saying, just in conclusion for us to just close this discussion?
Okay. So if you are currently cohabiting, right, we advise that you and your partner, we look at that living situationship that you're in. I think have a heart-to-heart discussion, right? For the benefit of your relationship, we strongly advise that one person moves out and gets their own place. Yes, we understand the different challenges and everything, but if you really do want to have a prosperous relationship that turns into marriage and becomes a really good marriage, it's better that you live individually, enjoy a dating relationship, or get married. In a nutshell, if you are cohabiting, right? If you are thinking about cohabiting, just think about all the things
we've helped you.
Just think about all the things, just in terms of the things to consider when making your decision, right? And I guess another thing also we didn't really touch on is cohabiting gives you a false sense of marriage, right?
Oh, guys,
so
2 hours now.
So one, it could be that the living situation is so good, you think because there isn't that commitment, as we said, right? Or you think when you get married, it's going to be as rosy as that, because there isn't that commitment. Unfortunately, when you get married, because of that commitment, guys, people will stop pretending. They're just going to be themselves.
Fact.
I feel in a cohabiting relationship, as much as testing out, someone can still pretend.
I still think there's going to be an element of pretense,
because they know
they can still lose you.
Yeah. They don't want you to let them go. So they'll certain things where they'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I don't really like this, but I'm going to put up with it, or I'm going to pretend to like this. When you get married to them, they're going to be like, I've actually hate those movies that we watched together. I was just doing it because you liked it.
Yeah.
They were going to have the guts to tell you, like, what? Is this you? I've lived with you for like 5-6 years. And today I found out that, that's the thing. And that's the unfortunate thing. So if you're considering it, I think we've given you, I guess, lots of factors to consider. And I guess to answer your question, say, if you are married, right, does it mean you're going to get divorced? No, it doesn't mean you're going to get divorced. Right? I think if you're married and you were cohabiting and maybe you're noticing that someone is a little bit more of themselves, right? First of all, just realize that, listen, provided that the person didn't lie to you on something quite fundamental and all that stuff, if you're finding out about all that stuff, go through therapy and work through it, and just find someone to talk to just address those issues. If you're married and you were cohabiting, it just should be a light bulb and a reminder to say that marriage takes work. The fact that you were in a cohabiting relationship doesn't mean you're on autopilot and your marriage is now foolproof, right? To stay married, you've got to put in work in your relationship. You've got to wake up every day and say, you know what? What are the things my wife needs today, and how can I be of service to her to help her, have a great day? And, how can I show up as a husband? You take it day by day. And similarly, how can I show up as a wife today for my husband? What is it that my wife needs? You just got to take it minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. That's pretty much it. You got to focus on what you got to do to work on your marriage today. Yeah. You're not on autopilot. So that's all we're saying. That's the point we're saying. We're saying that the fact that you cohabited doesn't mean that your marriage is on autopilot and you're good for the rest of your life, because you tested this person, you checked, tick, signed, sealed, delivered, you met the best person. We're all flawed human beings, right? Absolutely. And we got to keep on growing every day. True. And we go through different seasons and we need different, I'm still learning you as you evolve and change as a person, and you have different needs every day. I can't just get comfortable and be like, oh, I got you. I figured you out. So any marriage requires, reinventing the wheel every day and forging on and trying to be the best person that you can be for your spouse. And anything you want to add?
Yeah. I mean, you've summed it all up very well, baby. I think there's nothing that I want to add. We've tried to give you as much as we can from our perspective, and I think I keep emphasizing that. So we're not saying this from an expert point of view, but we had to use stats to make sure that you can see that what we're speaking about is also backed up by stats and what everybody else has experienced, right, based on this whole cohabiting situation. So what I want to ask you is, are you that person who is idolizing being chosen over actually being whole? Because I think that's what cohabiting sometimes gives you that sense of, I've just been chosen, but does it really make you whole, right? And also just the fact that, are you willing to go with what God actually wants you to do, even if it's unpopular, right? Because I think cohabiting is becoming a very popular thing those days. And I think for me, it's definitely not something that God intended for any of us, specifically because God loves us so much. And I think it's more from a perspective of He knows how much it can break us. Especially if things don't go the way that they're supposed to go. Yeah. So, it's just a moment for you to introspect, ask yourself a few questions, sit down with your partner and just have that discussion and ask your whys. Like as an auditor, one of the things that we always say is for you to identify the root cause or to perform a root cause analysis, you have to ask 5 whys, get to the real why. So sit down and ask each other, why are we actually doing this? And you will realize in most cases, the reason that you guys are actually getting into this cohabiting situation is not coming from a good place. It's mostly driven by fear. It's driven just by pleasing people or pleasing each other. There is actually no God in it, in the beginning. So it's very important to just ask yourself those questions. But I think that brings us to the end of the episode. Do you have any closing remarks, baby, before we end the episode?
No, nothing else to add. Just hope that we helped someone out there. If you're thinking about cohabiting, hopefully this discussion has given you stuff to think about. If you are cohabiting, hopefully it's also giving you food for thought just to think about your situationship.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, baby. You've been an amazing guest. I think we want you as a co-host here. What do you guys think? If you have, thank you, baby. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to like, share, and please do comment, guys. It takes a lot to do this episode. So it would be very cute and very honorable for you guys to just put in your comments in the comment box. And please also let us know what topics that you want my husband and I to just speak about. We do have a lot of conversations off camera, and I think a lot of them are quite interesting and very thought-provoking. So we're always willing to share with other couples our thoughts around specific things, be dating or marriage, careers as well. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, please like, share, and comment. And don't forget to send to somebody who has questions around this. Have an amazing time, guys. Until next time.